Welcome to 5 Questions. Today we have 5 questions with Gerry Henley, President of Kitchen Solvers. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you. It's a good beer.
First question, what is it about kitchen remodeling that makes it a good franchise concept that franchisees should be looking into?
Well, one, it's after we've survived the recession, it's an exciting business going. We're experiencing phenomenal growth at this point, and kitchens are very important, especially now in being a seller's market. Kitchens are the most important thing in selling a home. And a lot of people are looking to do that, so the business opportunity is there. We have a great business model to support that, and we see that growth continuing for the next 5 or 10 years.
I always read that kitchens and bathrooms are the 2 most important rooms in the house as far as resale value. Why is that? Is that just because everyone uses a kitchen, therefore it's like it's something that people always are looking to improve or make better?
It's the entertainment capital of the home. Yeah. You know, when you have a party in the home, everybody's in the kitchen. And you can have the biggest dining room you want and everything else, but everybody comes to the kitchen usually. But it's just you know, more and more cooking in there. It is just the focal point, and it's everything, and it'll make or break the sale of a house. You know, one of our big opportunities is convincing people that to redo their kitchen before they put the house on the market. And our studies show that it can significantly reduce the time that the house is on the market.
My second question is, how big is the kitchen remodeling market? I mean, obviously there are a lot of homes out there, there are a lot of kitchens out there. Can you kind of go into just, I guess, the financials maybe, and then also just the opportunities out there for people who take on this franchise concept? Right.
Kitchen remodeling is pegged at about 25% of the total remodeling industry. Wow. Kitchen remodeling is more of a small ticket in remodeling, which starts at $25,000. And in that market range, we estimate the kitchen market to be $80 billion nationwide. So it's a significant market.
So I mean, kitchens themselves take up a quarter of the remodeling market, and then the rest of that is spread throughout everything else in the house.
Additions, basement remodels, additions, roofs, windows, decks.
Wow.
You know, major remodeling. So when we're talking other major remodeling, you're talking $100,000 plus projects. So that's why we're more in the minor category. Still major for a lot of people. But we're still in the minor area. But yeah, $80 billion is a pretty good size of market.
And I mean, with a market that large, I mean, I guess no business model is recession proof, but recession resistant? I mean, kitchen remodeling, is it something that people are still looking into even when the economy may not be performing at its best compared to other remodeling?
Yeah, but we have to qualify recession because the last recession we just went through was the Great Recession.
True.
So if we get rid of that as our benchmark, typically recessions do help us because remodeling becomes people stay in their homes, they're not going to go out and build new homes, and that's kind of where we see we're at now. So again, excluding the last recession we had, which was pretty tough on everybody in the home remodeling business. Typically it's recession resistant. I wouldn't say proof, but resistant, because again, we feel more as the recessions hit, people stay in their home and say, well, okay, we'll just stay here and remodel.
It sounds kind of like you guys are getting the best of both worlds, that when the economy is doing really well, people are selling their homes, they're buying bigger homes, they're moving up, that they want to remodel their kitchens in order to improve the resale value. Whereas if the economy is not doing that well, people are staying in their homes, they want to remodel because they're staying there and they want a nicer kitchen where they live without having to spend all the extra money to build a new house. That's fair?
Yep, there's a third component also of the people that bought a home knowing that the kitchen is really dated and needs improvement, and they're willing to buy the home, get a pretty good deal, and then they'll immediately turn around and do the kitchen. So usually our statistics are when somebody buys a home that the kitchen hasn't been done, that they'll remodel that kitchen within 5 years.
Wow. My third question for you is, what kind of investment does Kitchen Solvers require from franchisees? Like, how does it compare to other franchise concepts as far as just the money that you're asking from people to become part of the system, and also just the general investment of time and energy and knowledge, I guess, background in remodeling and that type of stuff?
Well, you know, the investment level, we try to be a 60,000 to 70,000 all in. So that includes the franchise fee, startup costs, advertising costs, et cetera, to start the business. That wouldn't include any living expenses, so that's just an investment to start the business. Yeah. And you know, we're seasonal, so it depends on that ramp up period is based on when you come into the system. But we generally see about a 6-month ramp up to where you'll be able to start having some income. So you have to have the 60,000 plus living expenses for 6 to 7 months. You know, it's the business model where we compare to others. We're really strong in the kitchen remodeling market because historically, kitchen remodeling is done out of showrooms. You have big showrooms. We've never done that. We're primarily home-based. 95% of our franchisees are home-based. So we avoid all the brick and mortar costs and the overhead. I don't like overhead, and I don't like our franchisees to have overhead. So big advantage for us is that we're home-based. We're also cash-based, which means that you know, we get 50% of our contract value at signing of the contract, 40% when we deliver materials before we expend any labor, and then 10% upon completion. So we have no cash flow issues. You don't have to. Your materials are paid for up front by the customer. We have no inventory, and we're generally 1 to 2 employees. Nice. So what's nice about that, as far as the other franchise systems that will require brick and mortar, they do require that you do have a showroom. That can add a lot of overhead and a lot of burden. So you know, that's a major factor to us, that we get people up and going without that.
I mean,
burden.
Do you think that's a big appeal to people, is the fact that they can right off the bat eliminate the costs that would come with, you know, finding office space to lease, having to hire like a large team of people, having to buy all these materials and tools and equipment?
Especially the cash flow bits. I mean, if you look at that, because we don't have, everything we do is custom ordered, so we have no inventory.
Okay.
So
everything's a case-by-case basis.
Everything's job by job. It's all custom ordered. We don't even use warehouses. We use local moving and storage companies to receive and deliver our materials for us. I mean, it truly is a home-based business that we avoid all those extra costs. Wow.
As far as, I mean, tools, manpower, things like that, are you looking for franchisees who have backgrounds in carpentry or construction or things like that?
We actually prefer not.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
You know, it's kind of like the old dog, new trick thing. Yeah. You know, we primarily focus on working on the business, and we don't want our franchise owners working in their business doing the installation themselves. Okay. It's very limiting. You can only do so much if you're trying to do everything. So we primarily look for business builders that understand how to build a business, or want to know how to build a business, and we can coach them on that. So we spend a lot more time on the sales and business management, and we have all the training and everything else for installation, but we prefer that that's spun off to other people. In fact, we mandate that from the beginning, is that, you know, you won't be doing your own installations. So we want that out. So then you can use subcontractors, or you go, our goal is to hire somebody and train them, and we offer that training for them.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna want a uniform level of expertise and experience for these people that are, you know, actually doing the jobs, doing the installation. How did you guys come up with this training program to make sure that, I guess, you know, your services are as high quality as they can be across the board, no matter where the locations are?
Well, we've been doing it since 1982. We've done over 45,000 kitchens. So a little bit of experience there. We kind of got it down, and we kind of figure that out, you know. But we have a very good engagement, participatory engagement with our existing franchise. A great network. We got a great mentor network that we mentor people along with. So everybody pitches in and helps each other, and we continually fine tune that. But you know, that's a lot of kitchens. There's not much new on the market for installation standpoint. So.
All right, well, that makes sense. My fourth question is more of a general business question, I guess, is how important do you think it is for franchises to focus on these low-cost investments to attract people? Because I know there are some franchises that kind of let the pendulum swing the other way, where they say at the right at the beginning that this is going to be a very large investment on your part, whereas it sounds like you guys are doing everything you can to make it more accessible to the right franchisees.
Yeah, I think that is a big question in franchising. I mean, if you have a very low cost of entry, the good news is you have a low cost of entry, and the bad news is you have a low cost of entry. So, you know, that is a balancing act. Is that it's important to us at our level, that's our level, but it's the $60,000 all in and the living expenses. It depends on what your income expectations are after that. I mean, so we have a very good income level for our model, but keeping it low is a factor. We kind of feel we're in that sweet spot where we want to be. It's important to our franchise prospects that come to us, but we also want to make sure that we don't bring anybody into the system that has to finance. That's very important to us, that we want them to have that cash plus extra cash. So we won't do financing deals. So I know that's kind of odd in the franchise industry.
Yeah, it's a little different.
But yeah, if we feel that they have to borrow the money,
it might not be the best choice.
It's not going to be the best choice for us.
I mean, you mentioned that low cost of entry is both a great thing and can be a not so great thing. Can you kind of, I guess, talk a little bit more about that? Like, how is it a negative for sometimes for there to be a low cost of entry for franchises?
Well, you know, when we work with a broker network or some others, you know, that would get exciting. It's like, well, they're under 50,000, and so then you kind of get the people that can barely afford the 50,000 or under. It gets to be a challenge. Then they might scrape enough money to pull it together, but what if they need more money for advertising? And that could be a struggle, and then they've exhausted all their funds, and then they don't have money for advertising.
Yeah, it's kind of setting themselves up for disappointment, it sounds like.
Right, and it's just tough. It's just tough. So, you know, so when we say we want to see somebody have the $60,000 to come into the business, then we also want to see that they have more. Even if you're a $25,000 cost of coming into it, I think that you need to be able to say, do you have double that to be able to make it go? Do you have the reserves? Do you have, you know, what it takes? So I think on the lower end, if you concentrate on that, you tend to have the bad things of you're getting people that's all they can afford and they're barely scraping by, and so okay, I'll do this because it's only $25,000. And it might not be the right business model for them, it might not be the right fit, it might not be anything, but it's only $25,000, so I can get into this one.
My fifth and final question is, again, a more general one, but specifically for Kitchen Solvers, is what's the plan for 2015 and beyond?
Well, you know, we worked really hard on our systems operationally and make sure everything's intact, and we are now ready to add a lot of franchises and really expand our market base. So we're getting ready to get aggressive and get out there and bring in more of the right people to help build the system and take it to the next level. So our immediate 3-year goal is to double our number of franchises.
When you say get aggressive, where exactly are you guys planning to get aggressive? I mean, is it nationwide, or is there a certain region you're focusing on right now? Historically,
Kitchen Solvers has always been in secondary markets and even third markets, and so we're going to get more aggressive in major metro markets. There's 25 major remodeling markets in the United States, and we're only in 2.
Oh wow! So there's a lot of room for growth.
A lot of room for growth, and that's reshaping who we bring into the system, who we want to bring into the system. So we're also changing that model for us. We're more of the empire builders now, the people that really want to do a really strong business in numbers and even potentially multi-territory development, etc. So, you know, that's going to be one of our main focus now. Okay, now let's take this into the major metro markets and grow.
I mean, obviously what you guys have been doing has been working for you, but now that you're trying to push into those major metro markets, do you see the business, or I guess the blueprint you have, changing at all as far as the business model, or beyond marketing and advertising and putting your name out there? Are there any changes you guys are planning to try to set yourself up for success?
Well, one is reaching the right people. You know, we got to make sure that our marketing and advertising efforts are reaching our ideal candidate for that. Still working on that definition, but again, it's more. We've worked hard now to get our toolbox in order for how we get leads and how we coach our franchisees to get the leads and how to capitalize in a market that size. You know, the effective pay-per-click, effective, you know, whatever we do for advertising to generate leads. So we're prepared now for that as well, and to go in, so that's important.
You mentioned you're still working on, well, I guess every brand is always working on the definition of who the ideal candidate is.
It's easier for us to say who isn't the ideal candidate.
Well, I mean,
but I'm not going to say that one.
Yeah. Let's say you could pull them out of thin air right now. Who would the ideal Kitchen Solvers franchisee be?
You know, we are finding that mid-level operational people, especially in sales, they've been in sales or in marketing. C-level is not necessarily our good spot. But that mid-management, lower upper management is a really good spot. But somebody that has a good project management experience, can multitask, so their career has been more that managing multiple projects. So they can be a sales career where they have handled, you know, real estate agents and more. I mean, there's just a lot of people that have to handle multiple projects in a sales environment. That's our strongest candidate.
What is it about that ability? I mean, someone who's below the C-suite, but who's, you know, above just your standard employee. What is it that makes that the sweet spot for you guys? It
is the project management. It's the multiple projects, multiple tasking. You know, what we do, you're juggling a lot of balls. You're an owner-operator. You're doing everything. I mean, you know, you're starting your own business. We have streamlined as best we can, but you got to do the sales, you got to do the bookwork, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to manage the projects, you got to deal with the customers. You know, and you got 2 or 3 or 4 of those going on at once. You know, so that's very important on that end of it.
It can be tough, Thanks for watching 5 Questions. Thank you to Gerry Henley from Kitchen Solvers.
You're welcome.
And I guess we'll see you soon.